have a really good idea. A really good idea. Peter's my husband, and he hears this how many times a day, Peter? 50. 50, I don't know. So all kinds of ideas. Ideas are great. After hearing the ideas that were shared here today, I thought, I don't know if I should get up there. I mean, maybe, is it too late? Hey, sorry, Charlie. Can't. Nah, really not worth it. But then I thought about it. And I thought about, what is TED all about? TED is about what, ladies and gentlemen? It's about ideas. But more than that, it's about ideas worth sharing. And that's where I thought perhaps I could come in. I'm not a teacher, but today I thought perhaps I would be. So today, class, we are going to explore the theory of creative relativity. You've got your idea, you've got an audience. How do you share that? How do you connect? That's what we're going to take a look at today. When you have an idea you want to share, how do you do it? Slides work really well, and people wearing t-shirts and violins and all kinds of things. All of these things can help us beautifully express what's going on up here. But these things, these slides, a chalkboard, a dry erase board, it can serve as a crutch, but they can't carry your content. That's on you. So, this idea you have, how do you share it? I think I can sum it up in a word: engagement. Now, this is a word that you've heard a time or two already today. Engagement. It's mandatory for making your mark, and it's absolutely required for being remembered. Think about it for a moment. Think about those who have made their mark. From businesses to bands, it's those who connect with an engaging kind of energy that I remembered. Example, in 5 words: I can't get no satisfaction. Raise your hand if you've ever heard such words. Yes, a couple? Thank you. I was hoping that would work. Okay, so now that you've said that, we're moving in the right direction here, because now instead of me standing here and you sitting there, we can stand and sit together on common ground. Those 5 words gave us common ground to work with. So listen for a moment. I'm going to use this common ground to share a new idea. I can't get no time to find myself, so potential sits in a jar on a high shelf that I can't reach as you preach what I should and should not do. But who are you to keep me reined, restrained? And I can't get no space, no place to spread my wings as the choir sings. I can't get no air to breathe. Can you conceive such a notion? Such an emotion, so intense it paralyzes, while hiding behind disguises of satisfaction. I bet you've never heard that version, have you? So it's using that common ground to move forward. Now, this is our class on exploring the theory of creative relativity. Please know that poetry is not the only subject that can be used to explore such things. Let's move on to something else, something like science. Science, why not? I'll be honest, I don't know much about science, but I do know that this clicker is going to work. That's what I know. Right in a minute here. Holding down. Here it is. So, E equals mc squared. I know this is true. So let's take a look at this formula in terms of engagement. And why? 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 Because without engagement, there is no connection for you to communicate to your crowd. So, as you see here, E equals engagement, As for the rest, M is your message and communication with your crowd. So that engagement is the product of your message that you communicate to your crowd. And formulas are fabulous things. I understand very little about them, but they are fabulous things. And other fabulous things include things like spell check. Raise your hand if you've ever used it. I rely on it, shouldn't. Feel bad that I do. I lied. I don't rely on spell check, actually. Sometimes I misspell words, and that's okay, and we'll discuss that later. Engagement. How can we define this a bit more? I think that our problem too often times is that we focus on the form and we forget about the function. Now, personally, I don't feel the need to bind my words in an electronic state, in a Word document or Excel worksheet. No cells for my syllables, thank you very much. I'm touched. I don't rely on spell check. As my words are carefully chosen but not carefully spelled and they're misspelled, well, I forgive myself for that and I applaud my attempt to employ a plaudable vocabulary. In a grammatically simplistic society, if I'm to be called the oddity, I'm odd. And that's fine. These words are mine. I own these. So please, if you need a word but a fancier version, Shift F7 will provide a conversion. No need to open a book to find words not networked to your mind. Let your fingers do the talking. Click, 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 click. Put down the paper. Toss out the bic. You're quick. Not me. I'm slow. I write as I go. And I don't feel the need to bind my words in an electronic state, in a Word document or Excel worksheet. No cells for my syllables. Thank you very much. I'm touched. So, enough of science. I'm done with science. Let's move on to something else, something like music. Music. I'll be honest, I don't know much about music, but I do know where to start. Let's start at the very beginning. You know where I'm going. A very good place to start. Now, when you read, you begin with ABC. When you sing, you begin with do, re, mi, do, re, mi. It's funny, the first three words just happen to be do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. I'm glad it stops there. I can't go any higher. Raise your hands once more if you've ever heard of a movie that this might have been featured in, perhaps. 1 or 2 or 5 of you? Okay. And perhaps in watching it once or twice or 500,000 times like myself, that might remind you of another song. Perhaps it was a song that went something like, raindrops on roses, perfect poses assumed, fragrantly consumed, unforgiving thorns prick, a cruel concealed trick, whiskers on kittens, bitten once, now shy, whisked away by conjured detail, detail, detail. The strong are often frail. Bright copper kettles, copper, gold, silver, metal. Will we ever settle for anything that's not shiny bright, unworthy in simple sight? Warm wool and mittens. Grandma used to knit. We used to sit, talk. No longer do we trust, we just walk away. Brown paper packages tied up in string. Tied up, set up, fed up, give up. Bring it to the table, I'm able, these words I write, these lines I recite. These are a few of my favorite things. And there again, I bet you never heard that version, did you? They exist. So, the sound of music. There you go. A bridge. This is a noun, a transition connecting two subjects or movements, allowing for uninterrupted engagement. It gets one from here to there without rerouting anywhere. It gets your concept to your crowd without confusion. Consider the bridge I just built. I used a well-known refrain to deliver original content in the same vein. Enough with music, though. Let's move on to something else. Language. I'll be honest. I don't know very much about language. But I do know that we don't all speak the same one. I speak English. Je parle français. Ich spreche Deutsch. Yo hablo español. Parlo italiano. For those of you who don't speak sign language, I meant to say any of these are fine. You speak English, perhaps. But what language does your audience speak? If you have an idea you want to convey in regard to your audience, you need to speak their way. And I'm not just speaking about speaking the same language. I'm talking about how you use the language, how you use the words. Don't just use the words that you want to speak. Use the words that your audience needs to hear. After all, it's not all about you, now is it? Two-way street, this whole communication thing. Now, I understand that we're talking about language and not spelling. That's a different subject, technically. Words, nonetheless. But when you have a point you want to make, you have to spell out your message in words that your audience can understand, number one, and can relate to, number two. So you don't have to spell it out letter by letter, but you could. You could. L is for the way you look at me. Look at me. Can't you see? I'm engaged in the moment. And presently, I own it. O is for the only one I see. It's only you I speak to. With my eyes and my word, I know that I'm heard. And thee is very, very extraordinary. Extraordinary. Exemplary. This example I set, please don't forget that E is even more than anyone that you adore and love, is more than just a word to me. It's an engaged emotion, an idea backed by devotion. Now that that is spelled out properly, let's move on to one last subject, shall we? Handwriting. I'll be honest, don't have great penmanship, but what I do have is a great pen. And I use this pen to ship words across pages while scripting out phrases. I believe the pen is indeed mightier than the sword. But, more importantly, it's those words scribed by the pen that are mightier yet. That said, the words that you use in your message have the potential to engage with amazing impact. And each and every single one of you can do it. If I can do it, anyone can. Like I say, I don't know much about much subjects. I know a couple of things here and there. Let me leave you with this. I write these words in ink. Impermeable, inerasable, they're irreplaceable. Traceable? Yes, to me, I'll admit, more than happy to submit to the truth of it all, as far as I can recall. Now, I'm showing you my hand. If by now you don't understand, you never will. Even standing still, you're moving too fast, recollecting your past. Forget it all. Don't withdraw to the comfort of what you know, some way, somehow. Let go. Trust. You must. And if you don't, I won't be able to help you at all. Please recall, lasting longer than a first kiss. In permanent ink, I wrote this. I'm sorry, class. I believe that's all for today. I hope that the subjects that we covered here this afternoon will help you to have a better understanding of this theory of creative relativity. Class dismissed.